What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Si están buscando video en español, ya está mi página. We are talking today about Governor Ducey's stay-at-home order. A lot of people are referring to it as the stay-at-home order. I want to be very clear. I'm not his PR department, not doing that, but I'm saying what the message today that he was trying to drive home was. It's to stay at home, stay healthy, and stay connected. It seems to be an effort by Governor Ducey to try to stop the coronavirus without pissing off business, without pissing off people who care deeply about individual rights in our somewhat libertarian-leaning state here. An interesting order that goes into effect tomorrow at 5 p.m. It will be valid until April 30th. I know you remember last week Governor Ducey released a very large, expansive list of businesses that are considered essential, and those businesses can continue to operate. Grocery stores staying open, CVS, Walgreens, Home Depot, golf courses if they want to, nail salons, barbershops, all considered essential by Governor Ducey, so those remain open. And let's go ahead and go in there to the old order, directly to it so you can see the executive order. Here it is. The first part is going over the past actions taken by the governor. So we have the things that he's done up until today, right? He goes through that part and then just tells you, well, this is what I've done so far, and here's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that we can keep everybody healthy. And so for those reasons, I shall institute a stay-at-home, stay healthy, stay connected policy that promotes physical distancing while also encouraging social connectedness, that builds on action states already taken to continue with the essential activities, to utilize the essential functions, essential businesses. Arizonans are encouraged to improve social connectedness, resiliency, and health behavior by doing the following things: maintain contact in your social groups, keep checking on people that have negative health impacts, negative mental health as well, help them out. Goes through all the essential activities, basically saying you can still go get groceries for yourself. You can still go get groceries for your elderly neighbor or for a family member. Nobody's going to stop you from doing that. Look at this even. Engaging in outdoor exercise activities such as walking, hiking, running, biking, or golfing, but only if appropriate physical distancing practices are used. So you can't just call it a stay-at-home order, right? Because it's a stay-at-home suggestion. Unless you want to go exercise, then you can go exercise still. You can go to the park. You can go 18 holes of golf. I know some people are upset about that. Let me know what you think. Are you upset because it's not strict enough? Or are you upset that's too strict? I'd love to hear your opinion, but of course, read it first. Read it, formulate your own opinion, and I'd love to hear what you think. You can use outdoor activities still, as long as you stay that recommended 6 feet away from each other. Essential business can continue. Our law firm continues. How we started out, we first started taking alternate days a couple of weeks ago. Who's going to work from home, who'd work from the office. And then we transitioned now to fully everybody being able to work from home. Well, we are essential and we could continue to work at the office if we wanted to. We're doing our part to try to help out the social distancing, being a law firm, people of privilege, and still serving our community, and not missing a beat doing that, but at the same time trying to limit our interactions even with each other. We do the Zoom meetings all the time. So non-essential businesses may continue to operate. So even this, right? Non-essential businesses may continue to operate those activities that do not require in-person, on-site transactions and are encouraged to maintain at least minimum basic operations that maintain the value, blah, 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 blah. So it's not even saying if you're not essential business, you have to shut down. There's even some leeway there that you can continue to operate. And there was something in here as well if you were employed on your own also, that there was giving you some leeway for that. And then we have The part that does freak people out, and I understand that as an attorney that's engaged in human rights, civil rights work, I totally understand when you throw in here pursuant to ARS 26307, right, or 317. What is that? What does that mean? Right? Make sure that we keep this um, in order here. 317. I'm sorry. Any person who violates any provision of the chapter or who knowingly fails or refuses to obey any lawful order shall be guilty of a class 1 misdemeanor. So you can write a pretty bad headline there that says Governor Ducey today orders class 1 misdemeanor, right? If you violate the stay-at-home order, that would be a headline that scares a lot of people. But the reality of it, folks, is he's trying to play both sides of the fence here, trying to say everybody stay at home, unless you're an essential business, which will include golfing and hair salons and barbershops. No disrespect to anybody that engages in that profession at all. And at the same time saying you can still go out and go hiking and go for a jog or go use the parks, just stay 6 feet away from people and maintain social distancing. Otherwise, it's going to be a class 1 misdemeanor. Now, class 1 misdemeanor, I think it'd be more geared towards how I'm reading it. If you're an owner of a bar and you say, forget you, I'm going to stay open Saturday night and try to pack the house, they'd probably come after you for that. If you're a restaurant that says, I'm going to keep serving people inside, forget Ducey, you can't tell me what to do, probably go after that. If you're a sole proprietor and you got your own little shop, are they going to come and shut you down, throw you a class 1 misdemeanor? It doesn't seem that way. That's not at all the vibe that I was getting from the government. But we could be wrong. Let's see how it's implemented, right? And me as a person of color, my fear is always, how is the government going to use this to continue to pull us over and harass us? But to me, it's he's really focusing on the stay at home, but stay healthy, but stay connected aspect of it, which is still giving you the opportunity to be outside, be outdoors, go hiking, go to parks, go to the stores. Not much. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the huge change? The huge change is it's a class 1 misdemeanor to violate anything in the order, but it seems like there's a lot of leeway that whatever you're engaged in, I got a pretty decent argument, minus the ones I gave you already, to get you out of that. So it is encouraging people to stay at home, right? Aaron's got a question. Let's see it here. Aaron, do people that are self-employed work construction need some type of letter of travel or a place the work is getting done? Very specific in the order it's stated. They don't need to prove any documentation of any of this. So there's not creating anything that we have to put in writing. I am doing this or I am not doing this. That was plainly written in there, so I wouldn't worry about that. And yes, Valence is a good question. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. That was my first thought too. Maybe we need to write some letters, get a template going or something for people. But after reading it, it didn't seem like that was going to be a necessity. Obviously, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. If there's some overzealous officer that's going to go out and start pulling people over, then we'll have to revisit that conversation. But for now, it did not seem to like that was going to be necessary. Grooming services, San Diego, yep, still open. And of course, my honor and privilege to be able to do this. Dalila, hello. Yes, we are being very careful. Hope you are as well. Sandra says, can I walk my dog? Yes, you can, Sandra. Do not worry about that at all. A very, very big emphasis in this order on staying healthy. So feel free to take those walks, go around the neighborhood, go to the park. The recommendation is just stay those 6 feet away. So as someone, we've seen the movie 1984, we're afraid of government overreaching. I am big time. And that was my fear when I heard about the stay-at-home order. It wasn't as drastic as I thought it was going to be. Our leaders need better communication skills. I feel like they're not elaborating well enough on new rules, policies. That is very well put. When you get up there and you're not 6 feet away from the other people you're doing your own freaking press conference with, it's kind of sending mixed messages, man. Like, how about you model this distancing that you're talking to us about? Pretty crazy stuff, pretty crazy times we're living in. And I do want to talk briefly. Please continue with your comments or your questions below. And again, I'm not here to ask the expert. I want to hear your opinion. What do you think? Did it go too far? Did it not go far enough? But we've seen a lot of shaming for people who aren't staying at home. And I think from my perspective as a person of privilege, like I told you, our office is staying at home for the most part. And even though we have to go to court sometimes, well, Yasmin was in court today. And there are people who we have to remember don't have the same amount of privilege that we have. And they are worried about putting food on the table for dinner that same night when they go out in the morning. They're worried about the bills piling up. They're a single mom with multiple kids at home, a single dad that's looking out for his kids and his elderly parents. I'm not going to sit here and cast stones at people and say, you are a horrible person if you continue to work. There's context to everybody's life, and I'm very grateful that I'm in a situation where I can stay at home and still eat and still pay my bills and still continue to serve my community. And I would like to encourage folks to, yes, stay home if you can, but also to take a little bit of consideration into those who can't stay home because economically they don't have that privilege. We just saw a bailout from the federal government of the large corporations, some help for small businesses. That does not include the undocumented community. How can we sit here and tell an undocumented person, you're not getting a check from the federal government, no money's coming for you, but you should stay at home and go hungry and watch your kids go hungry? That's absolutely ridiculous. We need to be enraged. We need to be pissed off that the federal government left out undocumented workers from this bailout. The people who work in difficult jobs, long hours, trying to make ends meet, are as a part of our society as anybody else. And the fact the federal government said, we're going to exclude you from getting these checks, we're going to exclude you from getting this help, but stay at home, is absolutely ridiculous. We as a society, our government should be taking care of those most vulnerable, of those who live paycheck to paycheck and are looking for their next meal. It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's not continue to shame people who continue to work to support themselves and their family. Now I see, the pictures of the spring breakers at the beach, people throwing house parties, people of privilege themselves pretty much throwing the finger at you, and I see your rage there. But let's also put that rage to our federal government for ignoring the undocumented community in this federal bailout. And now what is the state doing? Well, at some point we have to start saying, forget about what the government is doing, what are we doing? If you're one of those people that wants to say everybody and their mother should stay at home, I don't care, nobody should go out, I'll make you a deal. If you agree to pay for somebody's food, if you agree to pay for their bills to make sure they're okay, I'll help you connect with that person so they can stay home and you take care of everything. And you be their federal bailout. Because the federal government and Trump ain't willing to do it. Unless you're going to make that happen and you're going to agree to that, let's make sure that we don't pound on the undocumented community who's already living under a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety for the lack of having status, and now economically is being pounded upon and not being hurt. Let's be there for our fellow citizens. I said the word citizens on purpose. Because citizen to me doesn't mean you have a social or not. It means, are you a part of this community? Do your kids go to school here? Do you work here? Do you worship here? And if you're a part of this community, you're a citizen of the community, and we should be looking out for each and every one of us. I'm reminded of a group that my grandparents were members of called Sociedad Mutualista de los Obreros Mexicanos in Douglas, Arizona, the Mutual Society of Mexican Workers. And they would pay a monthly fee, I think it was $2.50 or $5 every month. The organization would host parties, allow the social to go on. But if someone was in the hospital, they would give that member's family money. If someone passed away, they would give them money for the funeral. We need to start creating our own support groups for our community members here because the government isn't doing that job. And what can we as people of privilege do to make sure nobody goes hungry? To make sure nobody is afraid to get the medical attention that they need. Now, I know I sold this as, I'm going to tell you about the stay in place order. Sorry for my rant. Let's see what else folks are saying here. What about classified staff at school districts, with janitorial staff? They were told to come in this morning and they were asked to use their PTO. They wish to stay home. Serious castle, they're no longer needed. I think under this order, it was still anybody that's used to create the business or maintain the business. I think that would even include janitorial staff. That sounds to me more like a decision from the schools, because they also announced today the schools are going to be closed for the rest of the year, not so much the stay-at-home order, which is a separate component of that. I think if they chose to stay open, they would still be included and be able to do that. Nonetheless, for them, it's the same result for them, right? And thank you, speak up for my family members of my family. My pleasure, and that's my privilege of being an attorney, is to be able to share stories. And I just want to emphasize, I hear things and I want to communicate those messages to the broader public, because this is what folks in the community have been saying. I've been reading their comments, seeing the things that they've been talking about, and we're just trying to share those back to folks. And the main message to drive home today for me was, let's calm down the anxiety, let's calm down the panic, let's let people know, yes, it is a stay-at-home order, but it's also a stay healthy, a stay connected order, because those last two parts for me are just as important as a stay-at-home. We want to make sure we defeat this virus, we beat this virus, and it doesn't get a chance to spread. At the same time, we want to make sure that those who are suffering from depression, from anxiety, get the connections within ourselves, within our own community. Those who are suffering financially, get that support as well from the community, and we look out for one another. Every single one of us has been through difficult times in our life. Times where we thought maybe we weren't going to make it through, we weren't going to accomplish something. This is a dark time for us. But in life, you're either walking into a storm, in a storm, or just getting out of a storm. And now we're all in this big storm together. It's not pretty. It's not looking good, but we're doing everything we can to make sure the least amount of people end up dead at the end of this. There's no other way to put that. And if it hurts our economy for a while, well, it hurts our economy for a while. But we need to put our humanity in front of everything else, but not simply relying on the government, who's already seen the government will let us down and has let us down, specifically our undocumented community. So let's continue to work together. Let's continue to help each other out and not simply shame one another. Let's look for solutions to both the COVID-19 and the mental health and economic crisis that people are going through right now. If anybody needs anything, I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to do that, but I'm happy to connect people to resources that are needed. Please reach out. Send me a DM. If you don't want to put anything in the comments, totally understand. We all got to be here for each other, and we all are here for each other. Arizona's going to get through this. The nation's going to get through this. I'm very confident of it. But in the meantime, we need to ask ourselves, not just how am I going to survive, but how am I going to make sure that my brothers and sisters, that my cousins and my uncles, that my community gets through this as well. Who are those people that are in need, and how can we help out? Thanks so much, folks. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay safe and stay healthy.